Okay, everybody, this is Albin Johnson, TK210, the 501st Legion. I'm here with Dave Anderson. Dave, hello.
Hey, sir. Dave Anderson, TD573. Pleasure to be here. Happy to be here. And look at this fine group that we've gathered for this wonderful event.
I know, it's great. This is the interview of the GE 501st. This is a group that a lot of people may not have heard about, but they need to hear about it. And that's why Dave and I thought, hey, they need to hear about this. They need to learn more about this group.
You guys are going to learn. We're very excited again. And of course, look at this fantastic group of people that we've been gathered here today. So I guess what we want to do is, should we on kind of like what it is that this fine, outstanding group does? Do we want to start with
Sure.
one particular? Let's do it.
Sure.
Then.
I want to give a quick shout out to what we're doing. This is part of the 1138 event. This is 50 years of Lucasfilm that the 501st Legion is hosting. So many panels, so many guests, so many topics that we're going to be covering that any Star Wars fan would be interested in. The 1138 event is working in partnership with Lucasfilm on this event, and they're proud to be sponsoring the first nonprofit organization. First inspires young people to be leaders in science and technology, to be innovators, engaging them in exciting mentor-based programs. First offers science, engineering, technology, three things that we always need. It's what made Star Wars. It's what's allowing us to do what we're doing now. And they basically inspire innovation and self-confidence in young men and women, which is what we need. So it's more important than ever to get kids back to math and science. This is the way. This is the way to the future. And I encourage everybody who wants to learn more about FIRST to go to firstinspires.org, and it'll tell you everything about the program. And so we're so excited to be helping Lucasfilm and the 501st sponsor them. So, yeah, I'm going to throw it over to you, Dave. Why don't you introduce and talk to our honored guest today?
Well, fantastic. So one of the things, Al and I, like we've already said, we're very excited about this, but this group of people here, very unique and very special. Once again, we're excited to talk about what they've been able to bring as another element to what we kind of do in supporting of the mission of the 501st, which is going out and doing wonderful and great things. But that's more on the level of getting the armor on or the awesome, and going out. These fine folks took it to the next level, if you will, where it can be done anywhere. And I'm talking about that. So the group that we've got Mark, we've got Josh, we've got Nick, we've got Tom. What I'd love to do is hear from, and we'll just start with a little round going about, but Mark, if you wouldn't mind, or Tom, starting us off and kind of basically give us the, what is really the mission of your group?
Go ahead, Mark.
I'll defer to you. You created us.
So basically the mission of the GE when I started it years ago now was I had heard about the 501st Legion, and unfortunately I was much younger at that time. I didn't have the funds to put, armor together to go out and, do the events and stuff like that. And I know we didn't start too long after Albin had started in 97, but you guys had were established enough at that point. And my thing was, I wanted something. I've been an avid Star Wars fan my whole life. I wanted to formulate some sort of group similar in nature to what the 501st Legion was, that people who may not have had the funds to put together armor or whatever could still feel like they could participate in some organized camaraderie to celebrate Star Wars and have some structure and everything. And it started out on PlayStation Home, back on the PlayStation 3 years ago, and it was me just running around trying to talk to anybody I could find to see who would be interested in a Star Wars club that would be on a virtual platform, and it took
Mark,
a lot of hard
work. Let me stop you right there. I can't help but just see a parallel between you and me, man. I'm like, I want to give you a shout out right now because I know more than most people know how hard it is to be that first guy running around trying to get people to listen to your crazy idea. How was that? What did that feel like?
It was challenging. It really was challenging. And it was a lot of just spending countless hours on my PlayStation in this virtual space, talking to people and seeing who would be interested. Like, is there a fan base out there that uses this platform that would be interested in starting something, you know what I mean, to be a part of a bigger element, you know? And I finally got a core group of guys to kind of get behind me after I had laid some of the groundwork down myself, you know, and Sony at the time had the Star Wars elements, the Stormtrooper costumes, and all these things. And it was all there for me. It was just waiting to be taken in and molded into something completely different than what they had anticipated it for. And I just ran with it, you know? And along the way, I met Mark, and we really, at that point, after some, you know, turmoil and stuff like that within the club, just like growing pains type things, we were actually really get everything, you know, set in stone and start moving forward at a pretty fast pace, it felt like. And then we just, you know, one day Mark's calling me about, hey, we're doing this fundraiser. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're organizing this type. I was like, all right, cool. Let's keep going with it, man. Like, this is great. You know, and it was
hit a critical mass at some point.
Yeah, it was a really liberating feeling because all of us had formed such a strong friendship so quickly, you know. It was nice to see everybody with the same mindset that I wanted to do the same type of stuff, that didn't have the ability to go out and be in a public venue or whatever. It was easy to go, you know, back to your house at the end of the day after work or on your day off and just get together with your friends, you know, and do Star Wars stuff. It was really cool, you know. And we committed ourselves to making a safe space for people to, you know, be together and feel welcomed and, you know, appreciated and everything, you know?
Wow, that's amazing. And I think what you're touching on, and we'll get it more from all of your group, but what you're touching on is so key to why people get into this in the first place. And the number one thing, wherever I go in the world, whoever I'm talking to, whether they're a leader or just a foot soldier, or they're, you know, I can't even speak their language, they're always talking about that coming together. It's that ability to find the other strange Star Wars misfits out there and just spend time. That's the greatest human currency right there. Yeah. Let's hear from someone else in the group. What do you agree with that? Do you remember those early days? Mark, maybe you could talk about it.
Oh yeah, I remember those early days. I came into the club January of 2011, so 10 years ago. I'm not an original member, but the friendship that I forged with Tom, I took his vision and was able to put the paramilitary element to it because of being grown up in the fire service and everything. And even before Josh came along, because Josh came along maybe a month or two after I did, Nicholas at a young age was watching what I was doing and was, you know, hoping to get his own PlayStation so he could join us and you know, not just have to sit there and watch me do it. And when he got his own PlayStation, he became our youngest member because 10 years ago, he was 9 years old. You know, he was 9 turning 10. So we gave him an honorary membership and said, hey, you know, be seen, don't speak, you know, because we don't want people to know that you're a little kid or anything else like that. And, you know, he was never allowed on the mic, but yet he attained the rank at the age of like 10 of a sergeant. So he was telling people through chat and typing on his keypad that, hey, you do this, you're not doing this, you know. So that's how Nick got involved in it. And as a kid, I could just imagine, oh my God, I'm involved with Star Wars. But when Josh came into the group, it was one of those things that, you know, we were growing, and we were growing so fast that it was getting to the point that it was going beyond Tom, it was going beyond me. And then you introduce Wyatt to the group. Wyatt became my right hand. And, you know, like I was Tom's right hand until he left to go to the academy. I was running everything with Wyatt, and we would have meetings with Tom on, okay, this is what we're doing. And I would think that between the three of them on the phone, even while I was working at the firehouse, I spent hours upon hours on the phone going, hey, we just had this incident happen. What can we do to make it better? Because when we were trooping, our way of trooping or doing lineups, we were in the Star Wars Cantina. We were in the LucasArts Cantina on home, which was an official thing for Star Wars. You know, you had people that were showing up in Boba Fett uniforms or different things. But what stood out, like the first night I went into the cantina, I was like, what is this? And I was exploring like any other Star Wars fan would do. Is I'm in my own avatar and I'm looking around and I see a bunch of these guys lined up by twos. And I'm going, this is weird. And, you know, at the time, our commander underneath Tom was Sean. His name is Spraymaster. And they're not answering me. And I'm like, what is wrong with these guys? Nobody's answering me. I'm waiting for the bubble to go above the head. And nobody's answering me. So finally he sends me a private message going, oh, we're in a group chat. He goes, do you want to find out how to join us? And I went, sure. And at that point, I'm still going, what the hell is this? And I made friends at that point with a bunch of great guys and girls who were in the group. We had a girl by the name of Shark Kitty out of Michigan. We had, Sean, who was out of South Carolina, who lived not too far away from Albin. You know, we had Tom at the time living up in Boston, Wyatt down in Alabama. And then our youngest official member at the time was a kid by the name of Byron. He was like 17, 18 years old. This kid, even to this day, could pretty much destroy anybody in Battlefield, Battlefront,
well, that's how it is, yeah.
You know, pretty much any of the, you know, the game shooters that we got. But, you know, the camaraderie that was created was like what I have at the firehouse. And, you know, it was just amazing that, all right, I would go home from the firehouse and I would be on home at night. My tour ended at 11 p.m., but I was hanging out with whoever was on from like 11:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Almost every night.
On weekends,
Wow.
on weekends, we would have our meetings on Saturdays, and that's where Nicholas and his siblings would watch what we were doing. You know, if you go to fast forward to today, every one of my kids is either a member of this group or is an honorary member. So
that's great. That's
this
great.
has made the family for Star Wars a little bit closer. And I have to tell you, two of my best friends are Tom and Josh, because if it wasn't for this, you know, there are things that I wouldn't have been able to been there for them. And same thing when I was going through my stuff, I wouldn't have had them to get me through my things as well. So the sense of family is just unbelievable. Even almost 11 years later that this club was formed, we're still going forward with game nights and, you know, being there for each other. I mean, you know, Wyatt, you know, unfortunately is almost like you, but he's a step closer to Anakin than you are because he has his and, you know, getting him through as a brother to help him through that, to me, was a proud moment. You know, helping Tom with the transition of going from Boston down to the Carolinas, knowing that he was giving up his baby because he had to focus on the police department, and having Wyatt and Nick and Christopher Picarelli, you know, known as Pickmaster, and having Byron there along the way, you know, we were able to get to be a U.S. garrison and a European garrison all on PlayStation, which at our heyday,
no boundaries there.
But a lot of it was because of the groundwork you had done too, and the globalization essentially of the 501st. And me and Mark sat down one day and said, what would it take to go and across the pond? You know what I mean? What would it take? And we had a couple people that we knew that were in England that were part of our initial core group. And we had tasked them with starting a UK server 501st, a detachment essentially. And it wasn't as big, but we did have members, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, we had a handful of people that were on the UK servers that we were able to, be part of our core G501st banner. And it was a liberating feeling, honestly, to be able to kind of extend our reach after me and Mark and Josh had done so much hard work and, hours of just dedicating our time, our free time, to just sitting down and collaborating with each other. And we decided to do that. It was great.
Wow. That's awesome. Hey, I want to hear real quick from Nicholas. Mark referenced you. I mean, you had an early beginning to this thing. What did it feel like? What did you think of being part of a group, and then how did that evolve, and where has it led today?
Well, to start, I would kind of like to start watching my father play with these guys. I would sneak out of my room, say I can't sleep because it was late at night, and I would of course have school. So it was constantly me sneaking in, just sitting on the couch and watching him play and talk. And I would just watch what he's doing. I was just so fascinated. Everyone's all lined up in formation. Everyone's talking professionally. It felt that I was able to be a part of this group. It felt like, I don't know, it felt like a bigger thing than I was. And that being a huge Star Wars fan growing up, it felt right, and all that stuff. And playing with them, because we would have, calling squad names and like Battlefield and Battlefront. It was just like we were like a unit together, and it was just so much fun. To this day, I still love playing with them. I would love things to go further, and this group would be bigger, would be an outstanding thing. So
that's awesome. And you got to think, and the Legion only in the last 10 years, or the Star Wars community in the last 10 years, has really started opening the door for younger people, younger fans. You can't deny that that's a huge part of the Star Wars pop. I know the old guys like us, we saw it in the theaters and everything, but it's yours now. It's starting to become your thing. And do you feel like that's kind of the direction things are going with Star Wars? Do your generation feel like, yeah, we're taking that over, and now you see yourself stepping up, and the guys in the group now looking to you to take on the responsibilities of representing your group in Star Wars? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think so. With our generation, I mean, my group grew up with the prequels, so we have that like prequel initiative, but then we also have the sequels, with the new films. So definitely seeing the pattern of taking your group of films and putting it out there. And like, for instance, like a lot of my age group loves the 501st and the Republic era with like the clones. So it has that like same pattern going on with taking up the next step. Definitely taking up as like my father when he grew up with Star Wars, playing with the Star Wars action figures and playing with my action figures, and probably to this day still collect them. Don't want to admit it sometimes, but
yeah. Baby. I can't help but listen. I can't help but think this is a perfect time for a Star Wars line. I am a stormtrooper like my father before me.
That's right. That's right.
Dave,
listen, there have been some game nights that we've been playing Battlefront, and we're on the rebellion side, or a side that doesn't have stormtroopers, and we're yelling at each other, "Don't kill our brothers! What are you doing? Just stand to the side! Don't do that! Blasphemy!"
You guys, I want to add to that. Besides, thank you so much for all the wonderfulness that I just heard, because I was hearing so many parallels between what Al and Tom, what their vision is. Guys, I'm like, I could draw the lines between it: community, friendship, support for one another, even great distances. Kind of like that. That's so cool, man. That's what makes this, from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, and you can see it in your faces, each one of you, the pride, the excitement. No, I'm kidding. Like, look how Al and I are like, yeah, we love this, but it because we're like, do we love this? I don't know. I don't know if we really love this group, you know. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, yeah,
I don't know. Do I love it?
yeah.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
love that it's moved on to, you know, not just where you talk about it with a close friend. You went and said, you know what, let's do this, not just here. I love it. Let's get it across the pond. Let's get some other people that want to do this and do this, you know, kind of like, and when you guys were talking, all I was hearing was Al's story of the founding of the 501st, where you started getting letters like, hey, I got Stormtrooper armor. Can I hang out with you? And it was like, yeah, you know, and it just kind of went, oh, you know someone who wants to do that too? Yeah. We got this group thing going on. I'll invite you, you know, kind of a deal. And I loved hearing, you know, that aspect of what you guys are talking about. And then I just got to say, at one point, I was just listening to Nick's accent come out when he was talking about his accent. I was just like, that's what I expected when you guys said where you were from, what part of the country, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to add that into that. You guys love the story, love the
Wait to hear
parallel.
why is that accent?
It's not that bad now. I'm a good old country boy. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
This might be a good time, Josh. We haven't heard from you. You got some perspective to add here. When did you join? Why did you join? And what is it that you've gotten out of this group that you'd like people to know about?
Well, like Mark said, I joined probably about a month or so after he did, and I was playing with a member in a Call of Duty game, and I'm Native American, and so was this other guy that was in the GE, and he blew me up, and he got to see the little name under there with a grenade. Yeah, he blew me up, and after he got done, he started talking to me in my native language, started telling me about the GE and all that kind of stuff. It kind of surprised me that I met somebody online that could, you know, talk that way. Introduced me to the GE, and just with the bond that we've grown, and, you know, just the way they were doing Star Wars talk 98.9% of the time, and then business afterwards. I mean, even when we had upper member meetings, council meetings, we call them, half of the meeting was Star Wars stuff. What was coming out? What was going on? You know, what's coming out new? You know, and it brought us all together, brought us closer. You know, as a brotherhood, I'd be proud to call anybody you see on here my brother, or my nephew for that matter. And it just, I don't know, it's just Star Wars. It's this great thing for, you know, to be a part of this, because just like all of us, we either went to it when it came out, we grew up with it. It's part of us. We might as well enjoy it while we're here.
Yeah, that's it. And so you've probably made use, like a lot of people have, of what I call the modern mythology. Star Wars is our modern King Arthur or whatever. And there's a lot of different points in Star Wars that we pull from. There's the heroes, the villains, the mercenaries, the anti-heroes. And you were able to speak not only in that language, but also in the Star Wars language. And you guys were able to, it sounds like you guys have done a lot outside of PlayStation, where you've been involved in each other's lives, and you probably drew off of that common Star Wars template. That is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. And we hear that more, Dave, don't we? We hear this all the time. You could be in Japan, you could be in Germany, you could be in Canada, you could be anywhere. And it's what happens outside of the Star Wars core where it becomes a richer experience. Tom, is that something that you were hoping for, or is it a happy accident, as I call it?
To be honest with you, if someone sat me down when I had first come up with the, you know, idea of the G501st and told me that we would become what we ultimately became, I never would have believed them.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't think it was honestly possible, you know, and I'm sure, you know, you had those similar feelings at one point or another, you know, and it was just like, is this really going to be the idea that I have floating around in my head right now of what I want it to be that, but is it really going to come as a realization later down the road? And I never thought that I'd meet the group of guys that we met, you know, and got together with, and that had the same mentality of me to support and just drive forward. And it was just one of those things when me and Mark really started to get the ball rolling. We made a handbook, we did all these things, and we had rules and regulations because we wanted it to be something bigger than it was, you know, at the end of the day. And we hit like critical mass just almost immediately. It was insane, really, of how quickly it picked up, and it started to carry itself at that point, you know.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that me and Mark had side conversations, just me and him together, about what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go, and then guys like Josh and all these other great members that we've had over the years really were there to support us and make sure everybody else coming in was understanding of the ultimate goal, you know, is to have a safe place for, you know, people to come and spend time and enjoy, you know, camaraderie and Star Wars, and actually be a part of a formation of a, you know, a group that has some sort of structure. And it's not just a ragtag group of guys just running around with no direction. We actually had purpose, you know.
Yeah.
We were at one point one of the top, top 3 home clubs on the Sony PlayStation Home Network.
It was the Homelings, it was the Sons of Helgast, and it was us. And those were the 3 premier groups that everybody wanted to join. And it just at one point got overwhelming because, you know, at one point it was like, all right, you got a mic? Cool. You do this? Cool. No, we actually had to start an interview process.
Yeah. Josh was in charge of our recruiting department at one point.
Get me started on the recruiting. Oh my Lord. Some of the questions, some of the questions we got asked about our group was just, oh my Lord.
So it's funny that pendulum swings, right? That you kind of, the tipping point is reached where, hey, Tom's not out there beating the streets looking for people, struggling to get them to understand this group. No. Now he just sits back in the door. Is there someone always knocking on the door? Now you got to think to yourself, well, what's the identity of this group? Who do we want in it? We're not going to just take everyone and anyone. We would like to, but you're right. You have to start thinking about quality control. Do these people fit the mission? And of course there are you know, the ideas of, well, maybe now you're elitist. That's not necessarily the case. It's the idea that you want something real out of every member there. Nicholas, how hard was the interview for you? Did he give you a hard time before he let you in, or?
Really tough. I had to make certain curfews. Had to do good in school, of course.
Yep.
And that came from both me and Mark, not just Mark. That was a team effort on that part.
I think that was all of us when he was a kid. Like, you got to get done your homework. You got to make sure you're get on.
Albin, he had like 50 uncles that came out of nowhere like that. And like 10, that all basically told him that if he didn't do good, he was going to get his ass beat one by one.
Yeah. I gotta say, thinking back to 8-year-old Albin, and Dave, you back me up on this. One of the things that blew me away about the stormtroopers was I was in awe of the military. I felt like they were soldiers, and honestly, it goes back to the little tin soldiers and the little army men, green army men. To me, I wanted to go out into the woods and hang out with the army men and talk on walkie-talkies. I wanted those big brother, if you will, male authority figures. Now we're getting more and more female authority figures, which is awesome. But Dave, wouldn't that be great to have a group, a community of older, like adults? Nicholas, I think you lucked out. Dave, how are you growing up? Was that?
Yeah. So you know what? You're talking. There's such a similar. Once again, drawing the lines and the parallels of the things. So prior service, Army. I'm quite comfortable being a soldier. I'm quite comfortable falling in line. I'm very comfortable taking orders. Right, so I get this question a lot. As a matter of fact, one of my coworkers went, Dave, I like Star Wars too. Can you tell me why the Empire? Why a stormtrooper? Because remember, it's perspective. Their minds, they're going, you guys are horrible. You're the bad guys. In my mind, I'm going, no, I stand for order. I'm organization. Right. I follow orders. Without us, there's chaos. And they're going, no, I don't see it like that. I go, well, that's because I have a great
You
group.
are my enemy.
Yeah, I was like, I have a great group that you might want to think about joining, and then I talk about the other group. But what I love to hear is absolutely those pictures that we were sharing earlier, guys, with you guys forming up, kind of like what Mark and you guys were talking about. When I ran into, there it was. They were all two by twos, always hanging out, always in order. I love that you form up. Organization, it instills that part of you that wants to be part of something bigger.
Oh,
That's what's
absolutely.
driven me. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what happened, and it never intended to be this way, and the three of them will tell you, is one day a couple of the other bigger groups, which were the Homelings and the Sons of Helgan, they turned to us and said, you know, we're getting picked on. The little groups below us are getting picked on. You're the stormtroopers. You should be the law and order of home. And I'm like, nah, we don't want that. No. But let me tell you, if we went to, say, the Tron world, or we went to one of the other worlds that were within home, and you just had two stormtroopers with a scout trooper. A scout trooper was a sergeant. All right. So if you had two troopers with a scout trooper, they knew, because it said GE 500 first underneath our username, which was above our head. You know, the photo that you see of us in that lineup, that was, you know, you can't see that because that's a photo from home. But like the older photos, even if you guys quickly ran to YouTube, put us in and saw one of the videos that somebody took of us, you'll see our names and stuff above our heads. And, you know, people will come up to us, sir, could you speak to this one? They're bullying us. Or, sir, can you do this? And in the beginning, we're like, no, we don't want to get involved in anything. And then one day it was like, you know what? We witnessed the bullying that was going on, the racism that was going on. And we said, you know what? If we're here, that is not going to happen. And that's really where Josh came in and was phenomenal. You have the ISB in, you know, the Galactic Service. He took one other member, created the ISB within the GE 500 first, and he became our intelligence officer. And there was nothing going on within home that we did not know about, because he had contacts that were reporting to him. I mean, total ISB. I'm not kidding about this. And I remember getting a phone call. There's an hour difference between Alabama and New York. And I remember, there you go, right there. I remember getting, you know, I remember getting a phone call, 2:00 my time. It was 1:00 Josh's time, going, hey, there's a problem. We need you. And I'm like, dude, I just went to sleep. Really? He goes, no, you don't understand. I'm not bothering you just to bother you. He goes, we really need you. And I woke up and went there. And as soon as I popped in, and I'm not trying to toot my horn, but as soon as they saw Cobra Destro on above the name, everything that was going on stopped. I didn't have to say
almost.
And I'm like, all right, are we good? And all my troopers are like, all right, sir, thank you for showing up. And I would leave. If they knew Tom showed up for something that was just not a lineup like this in our meeting, they knew somebody was in a world of hurt, because, you know, back then we started working with a little bit with local law enforcement, because there was a hacking issue. I don't know if all y'all remember, PlayStation Network down at one point for a couple of months. And when we came back from that hacking incident, the people that worked for Sony were asking us, what did we hear? They were working directly with Josh on his intelligence that he gathered and stuff. So, I mean, it was, it became overwhelming, but at the same time, it felt fulfilling. And Tom and I would talk, and Wyatt would talk with us, and the three of us were like, this just went way beyond anything we ever wanted. We need to find more key leadership. And it was scary. I mean, I had Anonymous threaten me at one point, and to prove to me that they could do something, I had a UK account. They hacked my UK account and basically blew it up that I'm officially banned on the UK server with my old username. So it did get overwhelming. It did get scary at a couple of times, but
we're getting back down.
Looking back, I think that made us tighter than anything else.
Wow. So what you're talking about, and I want to loop back to what you guys were saying about being in a room when a couple of stormtroopers show up, this is almost exactly how Tom Cruise and I felt back in 97 when we go sauntering into a movie theater. And remember, I'd gotten my armor during the re-release of Empire. But Tom was a few weeks behind. His showed up. We got it together. And by the time we went to Return of the Jedi and walked into that theater, the experience between me by myself and then Tom and I together was like worlds apart, because the perception there is this is the Empire and they're organized and they are a sense of authority. They have their stuff together and respect, and it's kind of a mirror. Dave Filoni and I talked about this backstage in Japan when Clone Wars were first coming out. It's all about that salute to service. I can't, this weekend more than ever is important for us remembering and that salute to service. And I was profoundly impressed at Dave Filoni. As much as I was enjoying Clone Wars and Toy Soldiers, he was serious that he wanted it to be like a Band of Brothers experience. And going back to the level of authority, it was at Celebration 2 in Indianapolis when it was I think Wizards of the Coast or whoever was running the security at the time. We were starting to take ourselves a little seriously. People were putting security on the back of their shirts, and we were like, you can't really do that. That's a liability issue. But halfway through the weekend, their contracted security got so overwhelmed, they turned to us, and I could at least tell people to stand in certain key locations next to their security, and we would not talk, we would not interact in any way to show that we're part of the official. But oh my God, did it work? The Sagamore Ballroom, suddenly that overflow problem got in line. People formed lines where the stormtrooper pointed, and that's the kind of respect you guys, I can imagine, command in the virtual world. What do you think of that? Josh, what is that kind of what you're picking up?
Well, oh yes, sir. Sorry, force of habit. If you want me called sir, just force of habit. But I'm not sure if it was a much of a demand respect, but they gave it to us because of how we acted with the community, what we did with the community, all the stuff that we tried to, the fundraisers, the helping out. If somebody was being bullied or hassled on any game, not just home, but almost any game that any of us played, we were, and it was the like you said, the military style, functions of it that people listen to us more or better and just an easier process to get along doing things. So yeah,
you could see
definitely.
it in that video I play. I'd never seen that video before.
Yeah.
But the two things that stuck out to me was that's a non-member saying these guys are cool and organized, and boop 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 boop, all the GE 501st popping up, just like you guys said. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Dave. Dave and I, we like to break up somewhere in the middle of these. This is great stuff you guys are telling me, and hopefully all the fans out there that have been wanting to know about you so much. I'm impressed. Dave, are you impressed? I'm impressed.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, we came in expecting this. You guys are delivering.
Yeah.
My camera just didn't go high enough. All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is point for point what the Legion it stands for in the real world. Yeah. And we've talked, over the years I've talked, and I'm just not a video game guy. I'm terrible at video games. But I've heard these reports and from people in the Legion, fans who are like, hey, are these you guys? And I say, well, yeah, in a kind of way. Yeah, these are sort of brothers from another mother, if you will. And they get it. Okay. So we're getting into the last quarter of this interview, and we've covered so much stuff, but I want to make sure we get everything covered here. Real quick, I'm gonna throw up a graphic here, and I think this picture bears some reckoning, some stories from the group. Can anybody talk to me about who this fine young gentleman is and his story, and tell me how he fits into the history of the GE 501st?
Well, this is Sean. And unfortunately, Sean passed away, I think, about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Sean is who brought Wire and me into the GE 500 first. And his screen name or name for PlayStation, on the games and everything else was Spraymaster, with an A, not an ER. Sean had problems playing so many games with us. And that he'd be like, they're glitching, they're cheating, they're cheating. He'd be yelling us in the mic. We're like, dude, calm down. And his favorite game was SOCOM, which is like a Navy SEALs based game that we all played together. And we're like, dude, if you can't handle the AI, how are you going to play like Call of Duty and Battlefield or Battlefront when it comes out? I'll get there. And then, but Spraymaster could go 2 and 57 in a round. In all honesty,
person that I met.
He had a heart of gold. He absolutely had a heart of gold. I mean, this guy would take the shirt off his back for anybody. You know, when he found out that I was getting separated from Nicholas and my kid's mother, him, Josh, and Tom were my big people that got me through the shock and how to move on. You know, I was still a dad and I did dad things, but you know, Nick was, you know, you're going back 10 years ago, you know, 9.5 years ago when I found out I was getting separated. I can't talk to a kid that's just turning 10 about that.
Nicholas is awesome, but it's still, that's a hard job. I mean, I get it.
Wrong. He's my best friend. He's my buddy and I love him to death. But there were just certain things that, you know what, I had my core group. And if it really wasn't for
Takes
Sean,
a village. Yeah.
You know, Sean, you know, delivered gasoline in tankers to the gas stations. Or in the summer when it got really hot, he delivered ice to the delis, bodegas, to the restaurant, whatever. And but this guy made it upon himself that every day at a certain time, didn't matter if he was on a run or not, I got a phone call from him. You know, even like when things weren't going that great between the two of us, like, you know, brothers fight, friends fight every once in a while.
Yeah,
he made a point every day at the same time to go, hey, are you doing all right? All right, I know you can't talk, but no, I'm here. And he did that every stinking day while I was trying to get my head in order to make sure I was a good dad while working and also doing my stuff that I needed to do for the GE.
That's real. That's real.
You know, I'm sure Wyatt and Tom have some great stories as well about this gentleman.
That's awesome. And it goes right back to what Dave and I were saying, is that after a while of doing this with the community, you start developing those kinds of stories about those figureheads. Even if they're no longer with us, their legacy lives on with you, and they made the community better. They defined the community and what that code is. Dave, we've seen that all over the 501st.
Guys,
if it wasn't, Sean was the first guy that I really interacted with on home when I first was trying to get this thing off the ground. And he was like, I will boots on the ground. I will go out there and start finding people. And he's like, you tell me what the mission is and I will go and do that for you. And I started setting up the framework at that point. And he really was he was one of the anchors of this whole organization, honestly, in the days of its infancy of getting stuff started, you know. And if it, you know, as much as Mark and Josh and all these other guys that we've mentioned so far this afternoon here, everybody has always been an integral part of this entire community. And I couldn't have done any of this without the support of every single one of them. But Sean was the guy at the very beginning that really helped me get this thing off the ground. And it was only it was Luke's land speeder hovering off the ground. It wasn't anything like, you know, we're not going, you know, light speed or anything like that, but he was getting it started. He was helping me. And that's when he found Mark and some of these other guys. And we all just collectively really just drove it home, you know, and it was just one every single day, just boots on the ground, running it down every single part of the whole community. But he was despite some of his rough personality aspects that, you know, he was kind of a hard guy to get along with. He really did wonders for the ultimate outcome of this whole organization. I can't say anything bad about him, honestly, you know.
I'm really glad that we could feature a little bit about Spray master, right? He's from Boston. He's a spray master. I
Yeah.
call him.
No, he was a South Carolina guy like
He's
you.
South
Was
Carolina
he?
boy.
Okay, well, it's
Yeah.
spray master. All right. I wish I could have gotten to know him. That's it's good to know that you've memorialized him, and we don't forget our brothers and sisters. He's like in the 501st, we have our eternal legionnaire, and that's what he is to you. While we only have a few minutes left, I want to just cover something that Mark reached out to me a couple weeks ago. I want to give you guys an opportunity because this point's forward. Now, at this point, we've talked about the past and the present. Well, I want to talk about the future. And, Mark pointed out to me something very significant was announced the other day for PlayStation, and it makes a big deal for the GE 501st in your future. So it's a two-parter. What does the return of home mean to you? And what do you see for the future of the GE 501st? And I'll let the whole group talk about it. What's that?
Is that it means we're back.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
We've always wanted it to come back. Me and Mark have reached out to several of the contacts that we've developed over the years through Sony and stuff like that. Part of the group that was developers on home, and they've branched out to other things. We've hoped in our hearts that it would come back in some way, shape, or form, because we do our gaming nights and stuff, and all that great stuff, still trying to keep up with each other, but our bread and butter's that virtual world, to be able to have the formations just similar to the Legion, and it's you could sit here and talk about it all day, but until you can see it in action, it's hard for people to really put their hand around it and understand what it is, and having home coming back is going to, now that we've got a whole new generation of Star Wars fans now that we didn't have 10 years ago when we started it, I've told Mark a million times, and I'm sure you guys can all share the same sentiment. It's a wonderful time to be a Star Wars fan right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've seen the TikToks or whatever, where people talk about, well, I have adult money now, so I can do adult money thing. I can go get all this cool Star Wars merch and all this stuff. And it's really great now with just the world of Star Wars, how it's just evolving all the time, every day, that it's actually more beneficial for us now than it was 10 years ago, because if they can put the groundwork together of putting the product out there, the material for us to use, if someone can, figure out what we'd need, if Sony was trying to make sure that we were still an entity in their community like we were before, to have all these things available to us would just make it that much easier to recruit and have a safe place for people to really, express themselves and have, friends that they can have for a lifetime,
Yeah. How about the rest of you? I mean, this is the future. What are you excited about this, I imagine?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what you're seeing right now is the videotaping of when we did our second fundraiser in honor of your daughter.
Wow.
To me, the two Make-A-Wish fundraisers that we did is our absolute proudest moments, because not only was it the members of our club that went and did this, it was the other big clubs. It was, there was a PS Home Gazette, which featured different articles about the new stuff coming out. It was one of those things that, Make-A-Wish, Red Nose, Hurricane Relief, a lot of the things that we were able to do when home got shut off in 2015, that left a hole for a lot of us. Yeah. And, it's been difficult trying to keep the band of brothers and sisters together just through gaming nights, because majority of what we did is what you see in front of you right now.
Right.
Whether it was in the cantina or if it was in any of the other worlds that were there. That fine looking avatar in the middle that's bald, that's me, by the way. But the other avatars, I mean, one of them is Tom, the one that's closer to my left. All right, if you're facing the right, facing it onto the right, that's Wyatt. And
And
one of
home
those
allows you to do that. Home allows you to arrange this kind of thing.
absolutely. It was one of those things that, people knew who we are. And, with home possibly coming back, because nothing's ever a guarantee until you actually see it. If and when home comes back, it's going to give us the opportunity to have our audience back, our people that have left because they're not really into gaming, but they were into home. We'll get a lot of our membership back. The word of mouth will drive recruitment and everything. Right now, it's in discussions that we need to branch out to the Xbox and have a garrison on the Xbox, not just have functions on the PlayStation. A lot of games now are cross-generate console. So Tom could be on his Xbox and play Call of Duty with my boys and whoever else is on the PlayStation, and we could do game nights that way. I mean, we've done that with Fortnite, we've done that with Call of Duty, but the ultimate goal, Albin and Dave, really is to get back to our roots. And we haven't been able to do that in 6 years, because it's the 6th anniversary of the home server going off, because they stopped.
You don't realize how much you use something until you can't access it.
And
well, it's like 2020. This is the first year we haven't been out physically trooping. It's almost like 2020, Dave, isn't it? 2020 is almost like watching home go down for you guys. We're in limbo. We don't know what we're doing. So it's awesome to hear that it's coming back. And I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what this is going to mean for you guys. I'm wishing you guys the best. Cross-platform would be just amazing, because you could broaden your horizons even more. And you guys are all about that. You guys are about a digital frontier. I don't need to get up out of my chair and drive somewhere for a troop. You guys just log on, you're trooping, and just the impact online. We see what an online web community can do. You guys are doing that. That's awesome. So we've got our last few minutes here, and I just wanted to get some final thoughts from each of you. Let's just go around the room. Maybe just 30 seconds or less. What are your feelings about what the GE 501st stands to do, and what you want the 501st members, Rebel Legion, Mandalorian Mercs, Sabres Guild, Dark Empire, R2 Builders, all of them, you're part of this community. You're part of this family. What's your message to them about what you see yourself doing and what you hope to do? And let's start with you, Tom, and just go around the circle.
Just, anybody who's trooping and stuff like that, I mean, everybody's got a PlayStation, I'm sure, at this point in the world. Once this gets started up, the more the merrier. On your off time that you're not trooping, come join us and do it online instead. That way you can be at home, spend time with your family, but you can have a family online too.
Nicholas, you're the voice of the next generation. What do you got to say?
Yes, I like to make a big point of the next generation. With everything shutting down with the home, I kind of never really got my fair share of that experience. But now that I'm seeing that it's opening, that we have, we can talk to you guys, and with us having that opening together, we can really become a big family and stuff. So I'm really happy for that.
Josh, what you got for us?
I can't wait to get more people. I mean, I know you guys have plenty in the Legion, but to get more people back into the GE and, show that we're still out there and trying to help make a difference, not just in the real life, but in the digital world too. I want that positive message to go across, not only, like I said, in real, but just everywhere that we go, everything that we touch. I just want that positive message to go around with us.
That's it. All right, Mark, bring us home.
Wrap it up. Come on.
I would absolutely love for us to be back on home, obviously. But I think to have a bigger vision of that, just in case that doesn't work out, I want everybody that's watching this to know that you can have a place within Star Wars if you decide that you want to game with us, hang with us. We're still looking for members. We would, be very open to Legion members coming in and helping us, build the future and everything. My major thing about this, the family. I know that just from when I started talking to Albin, back in 2012, when I asked permission to do the first Make-A-Wish Foundation in honor of Katie, I knew from there, just from the conversation back and forth, that, hey, I now have a brother in arms, and, one of the cool things that has come out of the relationship that's been forged with the Legion and with the GE 500 First is when Wyatt was going through what he was going through, I told Wyatt straight out, reach out to Albin. He's gone through what you've gone through. And Albin, hit it out of the park. I mean, I never expected the relationship that was built between Josh and Albin to flourish as much as it did. I just figured it was like, hey, I went through the same thing. But seeing how Albin took the time after, why I had his surgery and stuff and all that.
Before I had my surgery.
Before. But just watching the Legion grow and just watching what awesome things that you guys have done for the community, for charities, for a lot of different things. People make fun of, us every once in a while saying, oh, you're a stormtrooper. My retort is, yeah, but did you know that the rebellions were actually the bad guys because they blew up all the contractors on the Death Stars? Thinking of millions of families that were without, and I would throw that at them. And I just shut people up when I do that. But in all honesty, what I've enjoyed about everything that has been accomplished by Tom, by Wyatt, by Pick, Byron, I can't forget the girls that helped us with, the European garrison, which is Stephanie and also Christina. We were a tight family to the point that everybody knew what everybody else was doing. I'm sure in the upper ranks of you guys, the same thing goes on, that, you've been there for each other's kids being born or certain achievements of the kids. These guys here have watched Nicholas grow up and become third generation firefighter. They have watched my younger two, who were in diapers when I started out with this, become the gamers that they are today. They have watched my daughter go from a little girl to the beautiful woman who she's become. And these gentlemen here, Nicholas is my son and all, but these two here, they are uncles to my kids.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't,
that says it all right there. Yeah. That
right
says
there,
what the legacy is for the GE 501st.
And
that's
if
amazing.
Honestly, if it wasn't for me one day deciding to go to the cantina, you know what? I probably wouldn't have gotten through some of the things in life that I was able to get through without my brothers, without my sisters. And
that is what it's all about.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. So that's a great message. And you guys are saying it clearly, for anybody who's in other Star Wars groups. I'm sure they feel that way about their families, but we find that people cross over into multiple groups, and the texture gets richer, the context gets richer, and people have more and more connections. And that's what we want, is just to send an invite that, hey guys, all you Star Wars fans listening out there, all you 501st troopers, the GE 501st is about to come back roaring. And with home, you guys are going to be back to impose order. That's awesome. And KT's reminding me that we're almost out of time. Thank you, KT. And she's also pointing out to all our viewers out there, make sure that you click on the link below at the end of this video to donate to the First Robotics nonprofit organization. Every one of these gentlemen here today have technology to thank for being out there as the GE 501st. They would not exist without technology, and First Robotics is the one making it. Click on that link below. Make sure you do that. Gentlemen, it's been an honor, a pleasure, and we are so proud of you. We're so proud to have hosted an interview showcasing you in the 1138 event, 50 years of Lucasfilm. GE 501st, you are definitely a part of that. And we thank you and we salute you this day. Gentlemen, we hope to see you again online and may the force be with you.
And also with you.
And also,
You.
Thank you.
And with
Also with
you.
you.